5 minutes.
Ok, ok, poi I will open, ammetti tutti. Ok, I am admitting everyone.
Ecco, adesso devi, penso, usare il potere del messaggio.
Yes. Ok. Okay, Laura, you can go.
Okay. So first of all, thank you all for being here today. It was a fast-running organization for this meeting that we care a lot of because of the topic. The topic is public involvement in conservation and in particular in coexistence. Coexistence is one of the main topic of conservation of large carnivore population, but not only. It's really a matter of coexisting with wild nature and wildlife in all its characteristic. Of course, large carnivores are one of the most problematic species because they can challenge the coexistence with them because they are, of course, important, wonderful species, but also species that might create troubles. And we believe that we cannot really create coexistence without involving people in that process. And in the frame of the WolfAlps EU project, as we will very soon describe later on in this workshop, we have created an innovative way to involve people, which is the stewardship office. I will not describe it since Julia will do this better than I, but just to say that it was an experiment, but it worked quite well and show its high potential. And today we want to collect several stories of involvement at various stages of people in this process of coexistence, from people helping shepherds in doing their job with the pastors, with the people working for preserving orchids from agricultural activities, and also public involvement in large carnivore, of course, with also the experience of the boreal wolf, which is our twin project far in the north of Europe. And then the collaboration with volunteers and between institution and NGO in the conservation of rare and endangered population of large carnivores, such as the Apennine brown bear. I will not speak any longer and let the stage to our guest. So first we will start with an overview of the stewardship project with Giulia Bombieri. Thank you, Giulia, for being here. Marta, devi smutare Giulia.
Sì, subito. Giulia, eccolo qua.
Eccoci. Hi everyone, good morning. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so let me share my slides. Okay, now do you see it full screen?
Not yet.
Okay.
Okay, now it's full screen.
Okay. So good morning. I want to thank, first of all, Laura and Marta for organizing this networking workshop, which I think is going to be very interesting. So as Laura said, I'm going to talk a bit about this action of the project WolfAlps EU. which is the stewardship program, and now I'm going to explain what it is. So I'm going to start by giving some concept, meaning, and goals, so talk about some theory, and then I'm going to explain how we translated the theory to the practice and to wolf conservation and management. I will present a few of the results, achievements, challenges from that we encountered during the way, and I anticipate that everything that I'm going to talk about is summarized in a booklet, which I also used in this presentation. I extracted some images and some infographic to show some contents, and that I will talk about at the end of the presentation. But let's begin from at the very beginning, just very briefly, who are stakeholders? Stakeholders are subjects that are directly or indirectly affected by wolf presence. And in the Life WolfAlps EU project, we have identified 3 key project stakeholders, which are livestock farmers, hunters, environmental associations, but also we identified many other stakeholders who are really important and plays an important role in wolf conservation and management. But these 3 were the key ones that we focused on in particular. In the project, we had 2 dedicated actions that focused on public and stakeholder engagement. In particular, one was dialogue through meetings and thematic platforms. And the second one, which is the one I'm going to talk about, is active engagement and co-planning of action for coexistence, which is the stewardship program. So I'm going to talk about this second action, but remember that also we had other kinds of involvement in the project. But what does stewardship mean? Stewardship is a term that's been originally used when talking about land and resource management, and it's a term that implies shared responsibility in management of a natural resource. So if we want to apply the term to wolf and wolf conservation and management, we have to think about wolf as not something that belongs to anybody in particular or any stakeholder in particular, but something that is shared, that in which everybody, all stakeholders, has responsibility in its management and conservation. But who is a steward in the real world? Steward is nothing but a stakeholder that decides to actively interact with the project by investing time, resources, skills to improve wolf-human coexistence. The interesting part of being a steward is that, unlike other kind of collaboration with the project, like being a supporter or any other kind of collaborator, is that a steward doesn't need to have the same opinion and the same point of view and the same goals of the project or any other steward. The goal of a steward is to be involved, be part of the solution, and help to create and develop new ideas and new concrete actions to improve coexistence. So the main goals of this stewardship program that we built in the project is to build a network of stakeholders and project partners interested in taking action. And this we would like to go on even after the live project, to collect and share point of views, ideas, and best practices. But also, as I said, to develop new action, concrete actions, and good practices to improve coexistence, and in general, try to experiment new ways of engagement, new ways of governance. So now we don't have the time to see all the actions, all the preparatory phases, because we don't have so much time, but I will just mention few of the preparatory phases, which was the most complex phase of the action. First of all, we mapped all stakeholders, both at the local level. So each partner institution of the project mapped local stakeholders. But then we did it also at the national scale and the alpine scale, and we tried to identify the most relevant stakeholders for our project. We defined a protocol which identified the rules and criteria to involve stewards. Then we prepared a template of the stewardship agreement, because stewards were stakeholders that signed with the project an agreement that included common goals, common interests, and a series of actions to be developed during the or also after the project. We also created a dedicated web page and a logo. This one is the logo we created for this program because we thought that it was more inclusive of at least the 3 key stakeholder categories. And now, if you have questions later about the preparatory phases, we can go through that more in details. Now I would like to show a few results of this 4 or 5 years of stewardship program. First of all, we managed to engage 31 stewards, so stakeholders. They were mainly associations or institutions, but sometimes they were single citizens, so for instance some farmers or some tour operators that signed these collaboration agreements with the project. We had some hunters, some livestock farmers, some environmental associations, but also many other kind of stakeholder categories like environmental education operators, tour operators, and so on. You can see all of them in our project website. So this is one of the, like the others you've seen in the slides, some illustration from the final booklet that we have published a few weeks ago, which tries to summarize a bit which were the main actions and activities that we have carried out and the stewards have carried out with us. So in the left part, you see the main actions of the project where stewards were involved, and you see also the number of stewards involved in each actions. For example, we have engaged stewards in scientific research, in wolf monitoring, in damage prevention, in ecotourism, education, and communication. And on the right side, you see the activities and actions that they have carried out together with us. So for instance, we did with the stewards a lot of information events, guided excursions, but also there's a wide range of communication product that they have done together with us, and also research project that we have carried out together. This slide is just to remind us that public engagement and stakeholder engagement in the project did not just pass through the stewardship program, but we tried to engage stakeholders in all the actions of the project. So we had an action that related to predator-prey dynamic studies, where we engaged hunters. We had an action dedicated to wolf prevention, where we engaged livestock farmers, and so on. Wolf monitoring, we engaged hunters, environmental associations, and many other subjects. So here also very briefly, I will describe a few of the achievements and benefits of this stewardship program. Benefits that were both for the project, but also for stewards. Just a few examples. For the project, having stewards was really important to gather feedbacks and needs from the territory, but also to help amplify the actions that we were developing in the project and amplify the messages of the project. And for stewards, this was also benefits were, for example, active participation, be able to participate in the project, in wolf conservation and management, also be part of a network of institutions, and also do some networking with other stewards. and also, of course, benefits from the project knowledge and expertise and all the material we produced. Of course, we had many challenges, many difficulties. As you can imagine, engaging stakeholders in a topic like wolf is not easy, especially when wolf is one of the most political species. So of course, we had some challenges and problems. Just to mention a few, at the beginning, for instance, we could have invested more budget and more time and more help of professional in stakeholder engagement. We also have challenges in engaging some stakeholders, especially when for some categories, wolves are also a symbol of a political point of view. But also we had some challenges and we did some errors in keeping stewards interested and motivated. So there are a series of things that we believe we could have done better and we can improve in the future. So now I'm close to finish my presentation. I would like to remind you that everything that I've said so far is included in this booklet. We have produced it in Italian and English. You can find it in our website. And also we have some printed versions. And Laura is showing the book. I don't have any copy here with me. And in the booklet, we didn't want it to be just a summary of things that we have done, but we want it to be also useful for future projects, future initiatives that would like to engage stakeholders and the public. So as you can see, this is one page where at the end we try to summarize all the lessons we have learned and advices for future initiatives. So I think this is another interesting point of the book. Then beside the things that I have already mentioned, the book, we wanted it to be also an occasion to give voice and space to our stewards. So there is one chapter entirely dedicated to their stories. It's called The Stories of Coexistence, and some of them wrote some stories of their experience of coexistence. And finally, we also wanted to give space to other initiatives that engaged stakeholders and public with a bottom-up approach. And some of the people that have written some of these boxes of experiences are also here today to talk a bit about their experience. So we're very happy to have them here and explain their experience. I'm done already. So if you have questions, unfortunately, I will not be able to follow all the workshop, but so if you have questions now, otherwise, here you have my contact and you can also text me later with questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Giulia. Maybe and thank you for being here. So I suggest if you have a specific question to Giulia, you can do it now. If something comes out in your mind later, we can reply. Me and Carlo Maiolini can also reply in later on.
Laura, sorry, there was one question, but I wrongly muted. Who was asking the question again?
I think Madeleine.
Madeleine, okay. Okay. Madeleine, was it
Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry, Madeleine. Okay.
Good morning, everyone, and so nice to see you again. I wanted to ask you, Giulia, about how do these relationships that you have with the stewards, how will it continue now after life?
Good question. So this, of course, is up to the project institutions. As you can imagine, not all the project partners still have budget after the life to continue with the activities. We will try our best to keep the relationship. Fortunately, relationships are not based on money and budgets, so we hope that some collaborations will keep going. And I think it depends mainly on the mission of the institution. For instance, as Muse, as a science museum, our main activities are mainly communications, but also research. So we will try to keep the collaboration that are mainly related to the activities that it's already some in the mission of the institution. Of course, other partners, for example, parks or universities, they have other kind of goals as institutions. So I think they will try to focus mainly on keeping those collaboration that allows them to keep going with these activities. But it's mainly up to the project staff, if the project staff will remain in the institutions. Of course, as you can imagine, it's not that easy, but we will try to keep something of this, because I think it's a pity to end everything of the project. But the good thing is that we also managed to create a network among stewards, so they can also keep going without institutions. So some stewards, they started collaborating together. Some associations, partners, we believe this is also very nice, because they can keep going, and even if maybe they don't have more support in terms of budget and time from institution, they can continue with some activities. I don't know if Laura or Carlo has something more to add to this.
Yeah, I also think that as we wrote in the booklet, one of the advantages of involving people and working with them for several years is also to do something that might go on in time, even after the project ends, because once you have collaborated, for instance, with a nature guide or a ONG that works, NGO, sorry, NGO that works in conservation, and providing them materials, information, scientific data to be updated, and go and communicate things about the wolf that are robust, then they can go on and doing that even after the project ended. And also they can they have contact they have contact inside the institution to have somebody to ask for some advice. I mean, like if they have doubt about I mean, there is a new scientific discovery about that on the wolf, or the new monitoring has indicated that the distribution has changed. Then they have known the network of scientists working on that. They can always call them and have a check on what they heard, if it was real, so and if it's correct, or if they have doubts. So I think in this way, stewardship can work as a multiplier of the messages of coexistence. Then, of course, for things that, as Julia stated, for more research project where you need also some budget for doing things, it really strongly depends on the will of the organization, of the institution, to continue and try to invest its own money on that research. I think, I don't know if it was clear what I meant. I always have.
Thank you very much for your comments. Yes, my thought was more maybe I understand very much that it's difficult to keep up the relationships, and it's usually based on personal relationships and the engagement of the staff. So I was just wondering if you have been able to kind of build in this as a tool in the management toolbox of Italy as a nation, that you recommend it for the people in charge to kind of see that it continues also after the project. But that's not maybe in your hands. So I was
not
just
in
curious.
our hands, but of course, as all the best practice that we develop during a live project, it would be very great if there will be the will of taking that and even improve them in time to making them an effective and continuative tool in conservation.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Julia. So if you have any other question for Julia, or otherwise you can write them in the chat. And if we are not ready to reply at her place, we will send her the question, because Julia was very nice to participate today. She's not at work actually, so we let her go. And but we can send her the questions so she can reply in another moment. Thank you very much. So I think we can, if there are no questions, we can move further. Yeah?
Anna is ready?
So we have now Anna Crimella from Eliante NGO, working with shepherd and volunteers. She will bring us the experience of Pasture project.
Hello, good morning, everybody. I'm trying to use the full screen mode. Hope you can see that. Okay, perfect. Yes. So today I'm here as a referent from the Pastus project. That is a 9 years old project among the Alps, but not only. We also work in the northern part of the Apennine. And it is a project of coexistence. We work especially with shepherd and volunteers. So what is Pastures? Pastures is the right pronouns. And Pastures is a network of young volunteers. We ask them to spend a part of their holidays or part of their summertime on the mountain pastures, trying to help shepherd especially in using their prevention measure from predations. So why Pastures? Pastures is quite old, but when we started working from the awareness that shepherd and breeders are the categories that is most damaged from the presence of wolves and bears in other part of the Alps, from the return of predators. So we tried to understand why they were not convinced in using prevention measures. And the problem is that the life in the mountain pastures is very hard. The prevention measures were very expensive, and for them was necessary a very big effort in addition of their life work every day. So we tried to give a concrete help by sending people that love mountains and love the biodiversity and conservation and so on, to help them in every aspect of the working lives of shepherd and breeders. So just a little I like to underline the name because I work especially in Aosta Valley, that is French speaking. So a lot of people think that Pasturs is from French, but it's not. It's from the province of Bergamo in Lombardy region, and it puts together pastore, that means shepherd, and urs, that is horse, bear, in the dialect of province of Bergamo, where the project started. So, Pasturs goals, of course, prevent and mitigate the risk for livestock activity due to the return of large predators, and this is the main goal. But by reaching this goal, we, of course, want to achieve the reduce of the risk of culling and persecution of large predators, and protect traditional human productivity. So, of course, we work with shepherds that make traditional breeding, not the intensive ones. This is Pasturs. I like to say that Pasturs is a double channel project. The most important thing, of course, is to protect livestock, but not only. We want to promote an exchange, a cultural exchange between two different worlds that usually don't speak to each other, or that complain to each other. So people from mountains and people from the lowlands and so on. So volunteers bring to the mountains specific skills and good practices in terms of ecosystem conservation, because most of them are students from this from university that concerns these topics, and shepherds from the other side bring their contribution of experience and knowledge about the territory and about the traditional farming. Pasturs is not only sending volunteers to the mountain pastures. We also provide a sort of counseling to the breeders concerning the best way to protect themselves. We study the best solution every time for every pastures. Sorry. So of course we work with high potential electrified fences, flood-free deterrents, and so on. Use of guardian dogs only when there are the conditions, and constant surveillance, of course. As I told before, so volunteers are, of course, the heart of the project, and they are really true and good, very strong instruments of dialogue and exchange. So the network, the network of Pasturs is very, very wide. Sorry, I didn't translate this slide because it was an image, but I think you can understand anyway. So Pasturs project is an Eliante project, but we work in partnership usually with protected areas, but not only. Some professional association, environmental association. We cooperate with several life projects at the moment, like WolfAlps EU, of course, and Livestock Protect. Of course, breeders and shepherds, but also tourists are the focus of the project, the beneficiary, the first beneficiaries of the project, but of course volunteers. We cooperate with local administration, of course, because we work on the territory, and other organizations. We have a really close bond with media that is not always simple bond, but sometimes they love us, sometimes they hate us, and so on, but you know this. And I go faster, but then if you want, you can make some question. So which are the project's actions? So first of all, the engagement and the training of volunteers. We dedicate a lot of time to the preparatory phase of the project, Pastour's Life. So first of all, dissemination of the information about Pastours. We speak directly with universities like veterinarians or agricultural ones or biodiversity conservation and so on, website, local media, and so on. The selection of the volunteers, it's a very hard process because it's a two-steps selection. They have to complete a module, first of all, and we select a first group, a very big group of people that goes on a meeting face-to-face with us to try to understand the motivation and the possibility for them to resist in the mountain pastures, because the life there is very, very hard. There is a training course that is obligatory, of course, concerning all the issues of the coexistence and of the topics of the they have to manage in the mountain pastures. So the presence of large carnivores, pastoralians, and so on. How to deal with the shepherd. That is not always simple, and lots of other things. The course is both theoretical and practical, as you can see from the pictures. We also have to engage and train the breeders. So for the breeders is very good opportunities, of course, to have people working with them in the mountain pastures, but we need them to show a collaborative attitude. They have to marry the goals of the projects, of course, and so this is the first step. We ask them to use at least one prevention measures on the pastures, otherwise that they cannot enter the project. The training course for breeders is shorter, respect the ones of the volunteers, and we speak with them especially about prevention methods and also the behavior of large carnivores. The volunteers, so we are in the core of the project. The volunteers spend a period in the mountain pastures. We recommend 2 weeks, at least 1, maximum 3, in the summer season. What do volunteers do? Everything. We just say them that they have to experiment the shepherd life. So they help in setting up the fences, supervise the flocks, the herds, and help in management of dogs if they can, help with daily course, and raise awareness and inform tourists. This is especially important in the mountain pastures where they use protection dogs. These are some pictures from the last season, not the currently one. Pastours project as a steward in Life WolfAlps EU. So we worked with the Lombardy region most of all, and we helped in the evaluation of the correct use of prevention systems in the summer season 2022 and 2023. To the volunteers, we're asked to fill in the WPU module set by Lombardy region, trying to understand how the shepherds were using the prevention measures that Lombardy region gave them. Because of the presence of the project also in Aosta Valley, that is one of the partners of the Life WolfAlps, we also cooperate with the Natural Park Montavic and the Trek Alps Guide that also are steward, I guess, but I'm not sure. And we helped in organize 2 events for creating awareness about the presence of protection dogs. And that's it. Some numbers of pastures, they are not really updated by now, but it's the last season. And just to show So we are a small project involving not a lot of breeders, but it's a very good demonstrative project of how the coexistence can work. So that's it. Sorry for my English. I didn't have time to prepare a lot.
Don't worry, it was perfect. Don't worry.
Maybe Laura is muted again. Ah, no, okay.
So thank you very much, Anna. Just to be strict on the program, we ask you if we can go, as the program was saying, with the next presentation, and then we have a small discussion slot, if it's okay for you. Okay. So now we move to the far north of Europe, to the Life Boreal Wolf project, which is a project that is quite similar to Life WolfAlps EU, but working in Scandinavia. So I welcome Mary Lily from the Finnish Wildlife Agency to speak about the stakeholder engagement in the Life Boreal Wolf project.
Thank you, Laura. I hope you can see and hear me well.
Yes, all good.
So I'll very briefly go into the background of wolves in Finland, but then move on to project actions. And I myself work as a project coordinator in the Finnish Wildlife Agency for this Life Boreal Wolf project. But now moving on to the presentation. So something about Finland, we have a lot of forests, very few agricultural lands altogether, and this sort of refers to that we have a very good landscape in terms of the capacity for having large carnivores. And actually, well, the forests are indeed heavily managed, but nonetheless, there's quite a lot of space around here, especially considering how much people we have. So the average density is about 18 people per square kilometer, and up in the north it's only 2, so that sort of amplifies or increases the average for the southern part of the country. But nonetheless, in between these sort of natural landscape elements and all the people, there's plenty of space to have these large carnivores, and our populations, especially for the bear and lynx, are indeed steady. But for the wolf, you can see the population trend that we, in the past 30 years, we have gone from less than 50 individuals up to 300, and that's the March minimum. So there's been in the long term a positive trend, but you can also see those dips in the curve where we've for probably several reasons we've had a decrease in the population. But then looking still at the national level of large carnivore management, we do have some challenges related to the presence of wolves, even though the numbers are relatively small and there is a relatively good availability of less human settlement areas, so to speak. So up in the northern country, there's reindeer husbandry, which essentially means that there's hardly any wolf territories. This is already 1-year-old population estimate showing only one territory up in the Lapland area. But then, of course, there's people, especially here in the southwestern part of the country, and there's a lot of wolf territory. So people do come across with the wolves, and there is some concern for adaptation to human activities, concern for the safety, especially of kids. And the rural settlement is rather dispersed, so this is basically people almost everywhere. Not many, but there are some in each corner of the country, so to speak. And hunting poses a challenge for us as we have a lot of active hunters. They have a lot of hunting dogs, and certain breeds and certain types of hunting are more susceptible to depredation damages from the wolf. Also, our ungulate management relies heavily on the use of hunting dogs as assistance for hunting. Livestock rearing, even though the numbers are considerably lower than in many of other like Central European or Southern European countries, still requires our attention. So there are depredation, especially on sheep farms. And wherever there's a new territory in an area where there is sheep farming, this of course poses a problem, as you know, that the people are not necessarily prepared. They don't necessarily have the required protection, for example, electric fences around their pastures. Free-ranging sheep especially are difficult to protect, obviously. And also there is challenges with the farmers to try to encourage them to do the preventive work when they can feel that they are already at their limit of capacity for resources of labor and funding finances to do that work. It's laborious and costly. So we have had the wolves here basically forever, so to speak, but their population has increased, as I said, in the past 30 years. And this means that we've had sort of solid system built for the management in terms of administration, authorities, and so on. So this scheme is, I'm not going to go through it in detail, but just to show that we have a ton of agencies and organizations working with the management of wolf, and sort of the roles and the division of labor is quite clear between different actors, and there's communication between these actors and so on. But what about these people in the middle who live in the wolf territories? So how do we reach them? How do we hear what they have to say? How do we engage them and let them participate? This is really the question. And as the wolf population has increased, it has become quite clear that part of these people have felt that they are not engaged, they are not involved, and they've been discontent, and they've sort of disrupted the collaboration and spread disinformation, especially in the social media in the past 10 years or so. And we can say that it's become clear that the successful management of wolves requires identifying these groups, and more importantly still, really involving them in the national, regional, and the local level for this management of wolf and other large carnivores. So we sort of tend to group them together. And the Finnish way of doing this is really relying on volunteer work to have it cost efficient and extending to various areas of the society. And also at best cases, it's in really engaging and inspiring for the citizens to be involved when things are organized well. But then moving on to our project, here you can see us, the project team or project staff, meeting a lot of people out there in the field, in the pastures, in the schools, the members of the parliament or representatives of the media and so on. So this has really been a great addition to what our national organizations can do in terms of stakeholder collaboration and communication. I have two special examples of these stakeholder collaborations, and first is the territory cooperation groups. So as the name refers, they work on the territory level. Basically, 1 to 3 territories can form one working group or cooperation group where the local stakeholders get to nominate their representatives to these groups. Then they convene and discuss the local matters or the wolf situation and plan for whatever actions they see are needed in the area. And the concept is based on volunteer work, so there's no funding for these groups. They don't receive money except for the game management associations, but that's sort of for the running expenses of having these groups. And they are provided by meeting materials from our agency and the project 3 times a year. And sort of put it into chronological perspective, we've had this group since 2016, and then it was a really swift launch after the release of the management plan where this was proposed as an action. And as our project launch, we had 27 and now we have 38 groups. So we are really covering the vast majority of the areas where there are wolf territories. Of course, it is a challenge to keep these groups active and motivated. So to have things for them to discuss, debate, go over, and so on. But one solution has been to change the members every now and then, to have a new representative from a certain stakeholder or interest group involved, so they can bring in their own new ideas and perspectives and also learn new things. And the goals of this group is to promote the coexistence of people and wolves. So basically the same as our project. And what they do is that, as I said, they deliberate on different measures, what is needed, how to execute them, where to find funding for this. But even more importantly, they share different views on wolves and their management, and also spread the information. So they really work as a hub of wolf information. And they are a link between us in the administration, also between the researchers and the field. So people living in the wolf territory areas, and their role is to represent these local people. And an important step has been also to support their data collection and sharing information, for example, on DNA sampling. And then moving on to the large carnivore observers. So this is a network of over 2,000 people who actively confirm and report observations of wolf and other large carnivores. And this data is then utilized by both the researchers and the administration. Especially important is to receive information on yard visits. And some people also act as an assistance to the police on vehicle collisions and deterring wolves and so on. And these are really the first responders on tough scenes, like where you have a big depredation case of sheep, for example. So they really have a strong local expertise and can come into difficult situations. And this is actually where our project has stepped in to help out. So we have updated the course material for these people, and it's actually freely available online for anybody interested in carnivore issues. But also to have additional training, we've put up this material about DNA sampling and communications in large carnivore related situation. So these I feel or hope are very well welcomed among the volunteers to sort of act as a backup for them. And we try to promote the recruitment of new people, and also our project planners working in the field try to keep a lot of contact with these large carnivore observers, or LCOs, to share information and also the workload. And when we get better data on large carnivores, obviously it helps us to make more informed decisions and build up trust among actors. Just a very brief overview of take-home messages. So to have these people in the field to work with different stakeholders and really know the people, it helps to create the trust and build long-lasting collaboration. And as an example from our management schemes from let's say within a year, we've had these court rulings that essentially ceased all quota hunt on the large carnivores, and this really showed us that we need to work more on the resilience of this system. So we have some volunteers who are not willing to collaborate anymore as they feel that it's not useful and that there is a key tool lacking in the management toolbox, so to speak. So they are discontent with the situation and therefore are not willing to report sightings anymore or sample DNA anymore. So this is something that we really need to work for in the future more. And with the people who are still on board, they are really showing that it is important to have these sort of people that you can rely on, that are active and collaborating no matter what. So they are really the cornerstones for our system. And in terms of stewardship, we see that resources, tools, and platforms to engage in the civil society are important part of the management. So what we like to say is that people who are involved and engaged are committed to the management goals that we have set out in our plans in the administration. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mari-Lili. So I think maybe you can stop the sharing. Yeah.
Yes.
So that because we have actually we are planning in coffee break. So if anyone has a question for Anna and Mary, they can reply. We can discuss about this part. Question? I will break the ice. So one question for Mari is about, I will do the same question that Madeline said to me. So so to ask, have you ever already planned if as an agency you will go on with this kind of involvement of people even after the project ends?
Yes, I think it's really important that we get to continue that. And for the territory cooperation groups, we actually it wasn't clear on the slides, but we launched it already before the project. So we have good sort of working model to go forward also after the project with them. But I think we have less sort of resources to have these seminars and sort of steer them into these local groups of networking and communication. So that's something that we will need to figure out how to push them to do it themselves. But for the large carnivore observers, I think we now have a good basis to work forward with the new training materials. So really, luckily we have the resources to keep in contact with them, and maybe we'll try to do some development also on the network still after the project. So I'm hopeful that we are keeping in good terms with all of these stakeholders.
Thank you. And one question for Anna instead is maybe I lost that and you speak about that, but I think it's interesting also to see how much, if you can give us an idea of how much pastors I can't say this in the original pronouns. Pastors has increased in terms of participation, both from shepherds. I mean, I guess at the beginning I expect somebody was skeptical about that, and then you saw that there was I don't know how to say in English. They start to I think it was Chinese word passaparola. When they start to speak with each other, and so they start to say, okay, this is convenient, and then they start to increase. And since you also clearly showed us that you started in Bergamo, and then now we have a very big network of protected areas that are involved also.
Yeah. Yes. Well, any experimentation of pastures on the Alps is different from each other, because sometimes the experience starts from a protected area that wants to give something more to the shepherd that have the mountain pastures inside the territory of the protected area. In some other case, it started from shepherds, like in Aosta Valley, because they heard about the project and they called us, asking us if it would be possible to start also in that region. And so we started moving by contacting the local protected areas if they were interested too, and then from the dialogue it started. Yes, it concerning the shepherd, we start always with a very, very small group. In Aosta Valley, we started with only two, also because they didn't trust us, because we were from another region arriving in their home, and say, okay, you called us, but it was just one shepherd that wanted to start really. He was already engaged, but we couldn't start with just one. We needed at least one other, but they didn't trust. So we have to build the trust with them. And after the first year, they asked other 4 or 5 asked to enter the project, and we selected four. In Aosta Valley, it's very small, and we work in a very small protected area. On the Orobie Bergamasche park, we worked with 11 shepherds, so bigger numbers, and in Trentino Alto Adige now we are working with 3, but it's just the second year. So the passaparola that I really don't know how to translate.
I think it's Chinese whisperer. I checked.
Okay, perfect. It works, and but we because they asked to enter, of course, the project, but we have to select. We unfortunately, my role is not always so nice, because I have to say no to many people, because we have to be sure that the willing is not to have just 3 arms working, but that there is a real will to cooperate and to build something together. As I told at the end of the presentation, we have not so many, so big numbers, but Pastur sees a demonstrative action of how can it work.
Yeah, and another related question is if you have you experienced in this relationship you have with both shepherd and volunteers a change in the awareness in the coexistence with large carnivores?
Yes, well, also in volunteers, because volunteers starts their experience with a lot of enthusiasm and so on, but they really don't know how the mountain pastures life is, and so most of them appreciate it, and they understand that they can understand the complexity of the life on the mountain pastures. And on the other side, shepherd starts to understand that everybody can live on the mountains. There aren't shepherds that now loves the wolf, of course. That is not possible, but except one case, we also have the one that loves every animal. But anyway, it's really a strange thing. But they now start to understand that by protecting themselves, they can coexist. And this is a little step, but very important one.
No, and then the crucial one, because actually with this activity we are tackling one of the main threats, one of the main issues of wolf-human coexistence. So very, very well done. We really hope it keeps spreading, you know, the whispering across the Alps, Apennines, and the rest of Europe.
Are there any other questions for our speakers?
There was Madeline, probably she wanted to say something. She rose her hand before.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to comment that that the large carnivore observers and all of the things that we have done in this project is part of the management plan for the wolf. So we are doing everything just a little bit more than usual in this project, but there is really not many new things that we have been trying out in that sense. And so there is, it's kind of part of the management already and has been for the last 10 years. So in that sense, it's nothing new, and it will continue also after the project, but with less resources.
Thank you. Okay, if there is no further question, I would say that we keep let me see the program. Just because if there is somebody that connect later, we are with the timetable that we propose with the program.
Yes, we can make a 5-minute break if someone wants to have a coffee.
Yeah.
And then we start again with Simona, so we don't anticipate too much.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So we can, Laura, we can say we are back on in 10 minutes, let's say. Okay. 10 to 11.
Okay. See you in a little while. Okay, here we are back again.
Okay. Can I
Wait.
share?
Laura.
Can I share the screen or?
Yes.
Let's wait.
Okay, a few minutes.
Yeah, because I can't see other people if they are there. Okay, hi, Madeline.
Okay.
So I don't know how to check if.
But Laura, I see all participants were actually online. They are muted, of course, but I can write in the chat what
Yeah.
is starting. So and then we go.
So I just start with the introduction of this second session.
Yes.
So we are now moving toward other species experience. And I'm really pleased to start with a species that is quite different from the wolf, because we are going to focus on a plant, very rare and important plants that are orchids. And speaking about how the involvement of people help to protect these special plants. So let's introduce Simona Colombo from Legambiente Lombardia. She will speak us about the preserving the territory with the land stewardship in the example of the live orchids.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you for the invitation, because it's completely different subject, as you said, because it's orchids. And first of all, I can say that it's easier, of course, working with orchids than wolf to involve people, because it's really, really easier. And so I can start to share my presentation. First of all, sorry, because some slides are in Italian, because probably I was on holidays and I didn't understand that
Don't worry, no problem.
Unfortunately, I have a lot of pictures, so it's easier to understand.
Okay, we see the screen.
Okay. Okay. So so now we are going to talk about stewardship, but on habitat conservation and species conservation. It's the project. It's a live project. The live orchids starting in 2018, and now in last year finished in autumn. So it's a closed project. So just some information about the project, just to understand the kind of approach we used as a consortium. But you can see in English everything on the website that you can see at the bottom. It's interesting, the consortium, because it's quite various consortium, because there are three entities focused on research, like a University of Turin, University of Genoa, and CREA is a research center of Sanremo. There are also two regional parks, so another kind of entities. And finally, there are two environmental associations, one from Czech Republic and one from Italy, it's Legambiente. So you can see also the variety of the consortium. And it's strategic to have this kind of different partners working together with the same aim. And also there are three different approaches that work together to reach the common aim to protect habitat, and in particular flagged species like orchids. So the first approach was it's the habitat conservation, valorization, and also also a new management of this habitat. You can see some picture from the activities. So involve different kind of stakeholders, in particular farmers, and also some private owners. The second one is a very specific and complex activities from developed in universities and in research center. It's the orchids propagation in laboratory. So it's completely kind of approach, very specific, very technical, and I can say also very expensive from economic point of view. And the last one that I'm going to focus on is land stewardship approach, because we decided at the beginning, when we decided to roll the project, is to add this kind of approach to the other ones to complete the approaches and to be more strategic to reach the goal to protect the habitats, in particular the semi-natural habitats, and to try to involve directly the stakeholders and also the landowners, because the focus of the project of this kind of land stewardship is to involve to involve owners, so landowners. So at the beginning, we try to understand also to know the situation. And we realized that, especially in the focus areas of the project, more than 70%, 60% of the areas are private. So they are not public, they are private, they were private. So it was fundamental, essential to involve the owners of these lands, because otherwise we couldn't reach the aim to habitat conservation. Also, it would have been very difficult to do the actions, also to develop the activities, practical activities, because we needed, of course, the permission of the owner, of course. So we started to try to engage this owner. And as you can see, we have these expected results. So at least 100 agreements with these owners, and 500 hectares under agreement, and the 50% of the area involved in the project under land stewardship agreement. I think that we know what means to be or a steward, but we just to focus and to stress the idea. The idea is to ask to owners, landowners, to be co-protagonists of the conservation. It's important because in many cases, especially in Italy, the owners in many occasions must accept maybe rules from entities like parks, because of course parks are the proper entities that they have the mission to conserve and to prevent to conserve habitat and territories, and so it's like they receive these rules, information, or some rules to respect, to protect the area. In this case, the approach is completely different. No, it's the opposite. You are asking the owner to be protagonists, to be propositive, and to work together to cooperate, and not just follow the rules that you have to do. This is just a kind of agreement, but you can find also on the website. So this is a very light agreement. It's like a letter of intent. Of course, the ownership remains, of course, to the owner. But we ask just to cooperate and to be agreed with this our aim and with the aim of the project of conservation. So it's just a very, very light letter, but it's important because it's not so easy to ask someone to sign an agreement, because at the beginning maybe the owners in our case were a little bit afraid to sign something, I don't know about, but in Italy, it's not so easy, to ask someone to sign. Okay, just to trust me and sign. It's not important. So we asked our lawyer to check exactly the document. Some owners asked their lawyers to read this agreement, even if there is no kind of economic exchange or nothing, but just to be sure that it's nothing that can engage them too much or not in a proper way. So this is a very, very, I want to stress here, it's very light agreement. Maybe it could be you can say, okay, it's nothing, but it's not nothing. It's important because we can also count it then during the project, no? And now we know exactly how many owners we have involved. And the results that we reached are more than 100 agreements. Most of them are private owners. Some of them are local municipalities, but all of them are owners of the land. So, and then there are all these activities we developed during the project. We had more than 40 webinars, lots of speakers, 800 of mailing list subscripts, field visit. We organize also a festival of orchid stewardship and a photo contest, events. So you can see it's all these things, all these activities where the aim is to involve the stakeholders and to keep the tension of these stakeholders, to keep the network active of all these stakeholders. And now you can see some photos of these owners. So you can see them. They are completely different. There are institutional, like local authorities, some farmers, a school, because it's a school that in the garden of this school, there are orchids. So the school decided to become a steward, and there are some different events. And there are some, and you can see in the land, in the houses. And so it's very nice to see that, as someone already told, it's important, the relationship with the stakeholders. It's very important because we started a relationship, a personal relationship with almost all of them. Also, picture of Ada is the mayor of Portofino, and is the farmer of Liguria. So completely different also stakeholders. And there are some orchids in the land of these owners. This is also the library, the National Library of Rome. You see in the bottom, because in these gardens, just close to the National Library, there are orchids. And so there are some group of voluntary cooperative that manages these gardens, and they decided to become orchid stewards, just almost in the center of Rome. Completely different territories. And there are all these activities to keep the network. So social network, website, YouTube channel. And then it's important also to say that we use also a WhatsApp group because just to keep the network, to involve people. And they decided during a meeting, a land stewardship meeting, the group decided to have this WhatsApp group and to share information, to share also the blooming of the orchids, and to share competencies and knowledge. And now the project is the project finished last year, as I told you, and now we are going on at voluntary level because it's almost impossible to stop because there are all these owners that was these stewards, they didn't want to stop the project, fortunately. And so we decided to go on, and it's important to say that I think it's easier to go on because we are an association, we are an NGO, so we are used to work with volunteers, comparing to other institutions like a park or provinces or something like that. So for us, it's easier. And so we decided to go on to coordinate this network. And it's very interesting to say that also the stewards decided also to help us to keep the network. So some of them are will be the speakers of the webinars, because we organize this, we call the Live Orchids Thursdays, because for several weeks we organize this weekly webinar. So every Thursday for maybe 14, 17 weeks, we met together, we are going to meet together, maybe 45 minutes, 1 hour, after maybe 6 o'clock in the evening, in the afternoon, and we stay together and we share information, knowledge, and we have also speakers from university, from also parks and so on, but at voluntary level. So we can maybe overcome the problem of the budget. So in this way, also this autumn, we are going to organize these online meetings together. And it's important because in this way, the network can go on, and we can go on to have attention, to do something for the future and to work together. And so it's important also to go on with the relationship, because otherwise, if we stop, it's a pity, because also I think that also the stewards, when they decided to sign, they had a very high expectation, because we asked them an engagement, and so they expect to have something, not of course at the economic level, but something in relationship, in competencies, in knowledge, and just to share their experience. And it's important not to spoil this expectation and this propositive approach, because with this project we realized that, for instance, just for some example, the Parco del Po Piemontese, Po Valley, they, at the beginning in the project, they decided to buy some lands to develop the actions of the project of the habitat restoration. With this approach, with land stewardship, the owners, they propose to say, well, we can keep the ownership, we become orchid stewards, and you can realize your habitat restoration activities on our land. In this case, the park could save the budget foreseen to buy the lands, and they could develop something else. So just some example. In other cases, universities could use the seeds from some orchids from private land to do this orchids propagation. And so it was important they can improve also the variety of the seeds they receive. Without this agreement, they couldn't have entered the private land. And also they didn't know, and they couldn't know also the kind of orchids they find in this land, because they are private, you can enter, no? Because it's important, the relationship, because they trust now the consortium, and they can cooperate. So it's really important, this approach, because you can also from the park point of view, the park's point of view, also from the research center, it's an added value, because they can also enlarge also their activities involving private owners. And then there are another aspect is how to go on, no? It's the problem, no? After the land life, after the life project. And now we are trying to understand if there are some new possibilities, maybe with other projects, just to give more added values, no, to the orchid stewards. And also it's important also to understand the strength of this project, and also the weakness, no? Because I think that all the strength I have already told you. The weakness is that probably we are trying also to understand if now it's an informal network. So it's a network built during a project implementation, a live project implementation. But now it's important to understand this informal group born from a project, live project, how can it's informal? It's necessary to be formal group, or another group, another association, a group from in Legambiente or not. So it's not easy to understand, because it's important not to stress also the stewards in something maybe too much organized, or that ask them too much effort. But some of them are asking us what can we do now. We are just single individuals together, but it's important. It's necessary to have a group. For instance, in Spain, in Catalonia, there is the Xarxa de Territori, that is a land stewardship association. They were born as an entity that developed land stewardship in Catalonia and in Spain. And it's an umbrella association with all local groups that join this network. So we are trying to understand if it's worth or not, and just to understand if it's what is important now, no? To go on with voluntary activities, or because some stewards ask us also to be a lobby, to do something to protect habitats, to be for instance, now there is yesterday there was a news at the Garda Lake that they destroyed a field, rich in orchids, for probably because there is an idea of a new road, and the farmer decided to destroy all the grassland, just to be ready to sell the land for the road. And so in this case is many also private owners ask us if there is something that we can do as a steward network to prevent this event, these negative approaches. So I don't know, sorry, because it's difficult to explain, especially in English, this aspect. But now we are in this phase. What we are going to do now? Because we have more than 100 people that are waiting us to propose them something. So we have a great responsibility, because also as Legambiente, we have also a role, as an environmental association, and they, especially with us, they have a great expectation, because your environmental association, we ask us to do something, and now what we are going to do. So it's a difficult clue to answer, but we are trying to do something. Thank you very much. I'm sorry for this confused presentation.
It was not at all confused. I
No,
have
thank you.
question, but I think that just to be so that everybody has the time to present, we will stick with the program, and so we will postpone all the questions for all the speaker at the end of this session. So then now we move to another country and another species, and this is the lynx. And we are talking about how hunters were involved in the lynx conservation with the example of the live lynx. So I welcome Tilen Huala. I hope I did not mispronounce too much your name, Tilen, and she from the Slovenia Forest Service. She will speak about involving hunters in lynx conservation with the example of the Life Lynx project.
Yes, thank you. No, you did not mispronounce, so it was very, very good. Well done. Well, and just for your information, my last name is also means thank you in Slovene. If you're interested.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
And now it's full screen, right?
Okay.
Yes, it is.
Not
Yes.
yet. Not yet. It's not. Oh, okay. Now it is.
Now it is. Okay. So as it was described a few seconds ago, I will try to explain how we involved hunters in lynx conservation. They were involved mostly in the Life Lynx project. And I will try to explain which methods we used to try to engage with them as much as possible, so they will also accept the lynx as a species in the natural habitat and in their hunting grounds. So just a little bit of a background first before we go into the details. As you all know, hunters are key stakeholders in many wildlife conservation projects. They are very, let's say, complex community that needs kind of special attention. And but on the other hand, they can be very useful for researchers and the project staff. Their input may be very important and valuable. As you all know, especially for the case, let's say for Slovenia, not long ago, maybe 50, 60 years ago, there were still rewards, money rewards given for, let's say, wolf killing and so on. So it is maybe for a hunter that is a little bit older, it's a bit difficult to comprehend that not so long ago, 50 years ago, when he was younger, it was normal for him to shoot a wolf and get a reward. But now, in the modern days, when we have new knowledge, he has to change the mindset and think, okay, a wolf or lynx or whatever large carnivore is an important part of nature and the ecosystem, and it plays a crucial role in it. So, but within the project, we use targeted communication activities to encourage hunters and to become aware that large carnivores, like I said, are a normal and beneficial part of the ecosystem. But as you well know, sometimes hunters can view a large carnivore as a competitor for the same prey source or something like that. However, in Slovenia, hunters have a strong tradition and kind of mentality of nature conservation, that we need to conserve nature for it to be as pristine as possible. So this is why also in 1973, when we had the first reintroduction of lynx to Slovenia, where they were the main protagonists for lynx reintroduction to Slovenia. So they were the ones who said, okay, the lynx disappeared in our forests, we need to have it back. So this is what I'm just trying to explain, that they have a very good sense of feeling of belonging to nature conservation, and that we need also large carnivores in our forests. And after this lynx reintroduction, the lynx spread very well throughout the optimal habitat in Slovenia, and it spread through Croatia to Bosnia and Herzegovina. This was around in the 90s from the previous century. But then researchers started seeing a decrease in lynx distribution and abundance. So we were not sure what was the problem. Maybe illegal killing, maybe inbreeding or loss of habitat or not enough prey species. And then a study showed that that inbreeding is the biggest problem. The source population from 1973 originated from 6 animals, which meant that the gene pool was quite small. And we were in, as you can see here, about in the year 2020, with the optimistic scenario, we would already have a population collapse. So this is why we started the Life Lynx project, and I will now explain what we did and how we engaged hunters as stakeholders. So we were strengthening the population with lynx translocations to the Dinaric Mountains to strengthen the remnant lynx population. So we had a small population still in Slovenia, and we also shared this with Croatia, and we brought 9 lynxes to, let's say, strengthen the population with bringing new blood to help with the inbreeding problem. And we also created stepping stone population in the Alps. This is in the northwestern part of Slovenia, and here before there were no lynxes, and we brought 5 lynxes, 3 females and 2 males. And we were very successful in this. So the overall goal, the long-term goal, is to create a healthy and connected population between the Dinaric Mountains and the Alps. This is just a large-scale goal and very, let's say, long-term aim. And of course, already in the beginning of the project, we identified the hunters as key stakeholders. We knew very well that we had to engage with them as much as possible, because if we did not, the acceptance of lynx in their hunting grounds would not be as optimistic and as maybe as positive as it was. So we engaged with hunters on 2 levels. First one was on the local level with individual hunters and individual hunting grounds. And let's say more of a national level, we involved also the Hunters Association of Slovenia. So first, I will now explain how we involved the hunters on a local level. Hunters were the ones who built the enclosures for lynxes. So when we captured the lynx in Carpathians, a lynx was brought to Slovenia, and it was going in this enclosure quarantine for some weeks, and hunters were the ones who built the enclosures. They were the ones who took care of lynxes in the enclosures before the releases. So they gave them food, water, etc. And they also carried out the lynx releases. This was very important, that they felt a sense of belonging in the project and a sense of ownership of the lynx also, because they took care of it from the beginning, and they were the ones who set the doors, who opened the doors for the lynx to go free. We also, through some campaigns, we let hunters choose names for lynxes and so on. So they were very, very actively engaged even before the first lynxes came to Slovenia. Then they were also involved in lynx captures and recaptures in box traps and also snares on prey cases where we found lynx prey, and we tried to recolor the lynx. They were always actively also present there, so they would get to know the lynx and again take it as their own, kind of adopt it in a way. And then we also, whenever we checked the lynx kill site, we always informed the hunters that they were present with us, that we could maybe seeing this, let's say, roe deer that was killed by a lynx, that they understand, okay, the lynx will have an impact on the, let's say, roe deer population, but it's not, they should not fear that the roe deer will disappear. And also sometimes they saw that the lynx maybe killed a very, very extremely old animal, and they saw that this was beneficial to the population as a whole, and so on. So we checked the kill sites like this with hunters, and this also helps with adaptive wild ungulate management. So the Slovenia Forest Service is the authority who prepares game management plans. So to kind of accept that hunters accept that, so to help hunters accept that lynx will have an impact on the roe deer population and other species, we adopted the wild ungulate management plans in a way that the tolerances are smaller where they have a lynx or wolf present. So this also helped with their acceptance. And the biggest involvement of hunters was in lynx monitoring with camera traps. We had a strong base of hunters, basically enthusiasts, with them we had one-on-one meetings where we discussed the optimal locations in their hunting grounds to set camera traps to have the lynx monitoring scheme covered as best as possible to have so that the scheme will have the best possible results. We involve them because, of course, they know their hunting grounds best, and with this network of hunters, we could cover a large area with this almost 5,000 square kilometers, and we involved throughout the whole project. So from Croatia to Slovenia and Italy, over 1,000 hunters and huntresses. And throughout the years, so we have had monitoring 5 consecutive years. We had almost 1,300 lynx events in 50 hunting clubs, which is quite a big result. So just a kind of view of the monitoring seasons. So the first one starts in 2018, and the last one we had in 2022-23. As you can see, the number of hunting clubs increased. So this shows that the hunters were willing to contribute, to be involved in the project. Of course, also the lynx numbers and abundance and the density increased. So this means also we had to involve more hunting grounds, but they were never, let's say, reluctant to help or to be involved. And of course, the number of lynx events increased with our knowledge on where to put the camera traps, and in combination with their local knowledge, where they have good experience and where to put camera traps. So on the other hand, like I said, we had a kind of more national involvement. The Hunters Association of Slovenia was also a partner on the project. And with them, we organized events, educational seminars for hunters and gamekeepers about the importance of lynx in nature. So we try to teach them about lynx ecology, their behavior, territorial behavior, impact on prey populations, and so on. We also organized a very important European-wide lynx conservation conference. This was meant for all hunting organizations within Europe, and it was also adopted by FACE, the leading European hunting organization. And on this event, we showed of course, our results of the project, but also speakers from different European countries explained their situation with the lynx in their country, maybe some problems, and so on. Also on this international conference, we signed a networking agreement between Slovenia Forest Service, Slovenia Hunters Association of Slovenia, and the Styrian hunting organization from Austria, about the exchange of knowledge and the exchange of information about lynx presence, because we are expecting that also in the next years, lynxes will also, of course, disperse to Austria as well, and it is very important in the long term to have a good collaboration with neighboring countries as well. And with every end of monitoring season, we prepared an article for Lovets magazine. This just means Hunter magazine, in which we showed the results. And this is a magazine that is distributed to all hunters in Slovenia. And this was not the only article. We also produced other articles about lynx. So just a few take-home messages. With one-on-one personalized meetings with hunters, those proved to be very helpful for establishing trust between hunters and the project team or researchers, for example. We were in contact almost every day, and in this way, through very personal communication and good collaboration, we could establish trust between us and kind of bridge this we bridged this gap between them and us. And of course, with them, we gained a lot of valuable knowledge, but not only this, the monitoring scheme that we had could not be possible without their involvement. As you all well know, monitoring of large carnivores takes a lot of effort, a lot of time and resources, and this involving hunters in this scheme was very important and very valuable. And in the end, hunters felt a sense of belonging and also ownership of the lynx in their hunting ground. Kind of if a hunter had a video or a photo on a camera trap of a lynx, this was also thought from the hunters, perceived as a kind of reward, or maybe also in a way a trophy to have a lynx on a photo. This was, you know, all well know, a lynx is a very elusive species, so it's not easy to see it, and this was a reward for hunters to be involved, so they could say, yes, I also have lynx, I know it's in our hunting ground, and so on. Yeah, so this is it. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Tilen.
Thank you very much. We move on, and we stay with us for the question. Just add this very nice example of the lynx was also improved in the frame of WolfAlps EU project for an action on predators, prey, and relationship. And the Slovenia Forest Service also worked in a partnership with hunters also in that action. So it's working, and they are going on with this approach. So now we are moving to the last long presentation. It's a bit longer because we have two speakers. It's about how the protected areas can be can boost participatory approach in conservation and coexistence, with the example of the Abruzzo and Lazio and Molise National Park, which is one of the most ancient parks in Europe, and how NGO can work as a catalyzer of volunteers and in working together with the institution for conservation. And about this very important two approach and partnership, we will have a talk from Antonio Di Nunzio from Abruzzo, Lazio and Molise National Park, and Angela Tavone from Rewilding Apennines, that will speak about the Life Bear Smart Corridors and the synergy between parks and association for the conservation of the Marsican bear, which is an endangered subspecies of the brown bear that lives in the Apennine.
Thank you very much, Laura. Hello, everybody. Good morning, and thanks for this invitation. This is a very nice networking opportunity for us, and I found the previous presentations very interesting. In order to start the presentation, I just want to check if should I share the screen or it's Antonio's. Because let's see if I can.
I'm just sorry, I was muted.
Yeah,
hello,
I have the, yes, I can share it.
Yeah, I think that you can share your presentation, and then when it comes to my part, I can share mine.
That's fine. So I guess you can see the presentation.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, perfect. So this is about the synergy, as Laura said, between parks and associations for the conservation of these endangered species of the Marsican brown bear in the Central Apennines. In 2022, we started this LIFE initiative called Life Bear Smart Corridors in order to work together to boost the population's viability along the ecological corridors of the Central Apennines and give more chances to the population to spread and increase in numbers. In order to reach this ultimate goal, we implemented a set of actions on the ground, especially together with the local communities. So we're working on the spread of these bear smart communities that we will explain and how they work. And also I'm going to give you an idea of all the set of actions that we're implementing, both in terms of conservation of the Marsican brown bear and involvement of local communities. And in the end, we will explain why bear smart communities are so important in Italy, and we think they are crucial for the conservation of the bear. So a bear smart community is made by the people living in a certain landscape who share the same goals and mission in terms of coexistence with wildlife, especially the bear, which, as you can imagine, is the key species and most iconic animal to live with. So in terms to create this bear smart community, we are working with local administrations, businesses, individuals, NGOs, and other stakeholders to promote a set of actions and to ask them implementing on the ground for a long period. Of course, it's for us it's a mission, and for the communities we are hoping that it's a long-term engagement and commitment. So damage prevention and promotion of opportunities are the key actions of this initiative. For example, we are promoting ecotourism, but also a network of enterprises, of responsible entrepreneurs, in order to give them visibility and value of working in a landscape where there is this species. They are aware of the conservation of this species, and they are commit themselves to contribute to a coexistence. So in a way, these entrepreneurs are also ambassadors of coexistence messages, both for customers and citizens. The key words of the bear smart communities are the human-bear conflict mitigation and prevention, the habitat improvement along the ecological corridors, which are these huge piece of landscape that are not protected under a national park or a regional park or a nature reserve, but they are viable for the movement of wildlife, especially the bear, and they are the only way for these species to reach more suitable areas that are the protected areas. So to move outside the core area, which is the Abruzzo-Lazio Molise National Park, towards all directions in the Central Apennines. Also, the support to local economies, as I've already explained a bit, and to raise very much the bear awareness. In order to understand where we are working, on the left side, there is a map of the Central Apennines. In orange, the protected areas involved in the life benchmark corridors. In reddish, there are the ecological corridors that have been mapped through scientific studies, and where us as NGOs are working much more. Instead, the national parks, the regional park, of course, are working on the same initiative, but within the park, also on the border, in the buffer zone of the park. Also, this initiative has been carried out in Greece, in northern Greece, with other NGOs like Callisto and Arcturus. In Italy, we have Rewilding Apennines and Salviamo l'Orso. About institutions, we have the Abruzzo-Lazio Molise National Park, the Monte Genzano Alto Gizio Nature Reserve, the Sirente Velino Regional Park, and Gran Sasso Monti della Laga National Park. In Greece, also a university and a cooperative and a municipality are involved. So 12 partners in total. Just to take a look more in detail, the NGOs, Rewilding Apennines and Salviamo l'Orso, are working on the development of 3 benchmark communities. One is the Genzana benchmark community, which was also the focus of the box in the booklet that has been presented today morning, which was a pilot initiative since 2015, and the first benchmark community initiative in Italy and Europe. Then we replicated the same activities in other places along these corridors, one in the south, in Alto Molise, involving San Pietro Avellano and Vasto Girardi municipalities, and another one in Valle Roveto Ernici on the west side of the Abruzzo-Lazio Molise National Park, involving specifically the municipality of Morino. Within the Abruzzo-Lazio Molise National Park, we are working with 8 benchmark communities, which are located bordering the border of the protected area, in order to project people and bears outside the core area, with the main goal, as I said, to help the population expanding outside the core area. Scanno, Villetta Barea, Gioia dei Marsi, Lecce nei Marsi, Ortona dei Marsi, Campoli Appennino, and Alvito and Pizzone are the municipalities. Some of them we're working together. I mean, the park and the NGOs to enforce, of course, our energies and in order to be more effective. This is the main path that we are working together with the communities in order to reach the establishment of the benchmark community. We started with a memorandum of understanding between the park, the NGOs, and the municipality, the single municipalities, in order to share objectives and actions to carry out in the landscape. Then the next step is the establishment of the benchmark community committee, which is a volunteer group of representatives of the community, made by the institutions like park, the municipality, the NGOs, and representatives of local stakeholders like hunters, farmers, for example, businesses and so on. So all the people who are very interested and wants to participate on a voluntary basis to the creation of a coexistence plan and a set of action to be carried out in the future in order to reach the goal of the human-bear coexistence. In the meantime, we also have been working with locals in the bear conservation actions to prevent damages, to inform people, to mitigate conflicts, to, of course, lower the threats for the species. And we are working to support local nature-based enterprises with a training and informative path, and also to give them opportunities to, let's say, have more visualization outside the Apennines, and to enforce a network in order to be more present on the market. At the end of this path, all these 16 communities will become BEAR-smart communities. Some of them are already so, like the first one where we started working 10 years ago, around 10 years ago, Pettorano sul Gizio, and of course, step by step, all the others should reach the same level, or with some differences, of course. Where we are now, in terms of community engagement, while last year we concentrated our attention to involve local communities in a wide event in order to raise awareness, speak about bears, get them to know the species, the biology, and also speak about the BEAR-smart communities features and how to become a BEAR-smart community. This year we concentrated the attention more on the involvement of specific stakeholders to deepen some topics related to community, to human-bear coexistence, like, for example, how natural ecotourism could impact on the bear's habitat, or how a community can improve the situation of spread of diseases from domestic to wild animals, so to avoid risks for bears and other wildlife, or what is the research on the bear and the monitoring of the bear, and why it is important, how a community can contribute to this. And another table is about oh, I forget. It's about no, it's another topic. I forgot, but I can mention it later. So we asked people to choose one of these topics to follow with some experts, and the involvement of facilitators, of course, was also important in order to facilitate the communication and the exchange and the discussion. Also, we are delivering questionnaires, pre and post questionnaires, in order to monitor if there is some improvements in terms of knowledge of these stakeholders before and after these events. This year we are going to organize like 17 of these events. We already had 5 of them, and all the autumn is plenty. Every Saturday is booked, let's say, with these BEAR-smart community Are You There events. The BEAR-smart community tools are made of this BEAR-smart community committee, the BEAR-smart community coexistence plan, to be drafted together with municipalities and local stakeholders, and of course the partners of the initiative. Then we have also a program with enterprise, We also have the bear intervention unit, which are made by partners of the initiative, together with some volunteers on the ground that can be connect the locals with the experts of bear management in order to, let's say, address specific emergency situation, like, for example, a bear damage or an electric fence that doesn't work anymore properly, in order to fix it and avoid, of course, bear incursions and so on. And also, we are creating this Bear Smart Community info point in each Bear Smart communities as open offices for addressing residents. So people can go there and ask local institutions or volunteers involved in these info points how to, for example, install an electric fence, how to get a bear-proof waste bin or a bear-proof chicken coop, or we need to deepen some specific topic. Can we organize together a conference or a meeting with local people, or just let's organize a game in the square for children. So everything, every needs that can be discussed can be also discussed within the committee, but also some ready to be addressed questions that local institutions and volunteers can give to residents. To complete the overview of this initiative, I want just to mention other actions that we are doing on the ground. So, of course, we are covering the prevention measures with the installation of electric fence and bear-proof chicken coops. We are pruning, we are improving some areas for the bear's habitat. For example, you can see on the top right, pruning of some fruit trees. These trees are in abandoned orchards where once there was agricultural lands. They are still alive and they are productive. So we are just giving the chance to still be productive in the future in order to give food sources for bears and wildlife. And this is outside, of course, the towns in order to avoid, of course, bears' attractiveness. We also are making safe some water wells in mountains in order to avoid wildlife falling into these water wells, which once were used to give water to flocks and of course cattle. They can be unsafe also for people. We also are creating nature-based products connected with the Coexistence, Human Bear Coexistence initiative, together with local entrepreneurs. We had interviews with many stakeholders and people from all over the project areas. We are, of course, installing interpretive and information boards. This year we will work with schools, children, and also we are working on a theater play to reach locals and tourists in order to spread the messages of human bear coexistence in a funny and joyful way. The meetings with locals I've already told enough. And of course, we are participating in the bears monitoring network along, we as NGOs, we are working on mainly in the ecological corridors and collaborating with the institutions, national parks, to understand the bear's presence and of course to be on the ground and deliver the preventive measure if it's needed. We also created the prototype of a bear-proof waste bin that you can see in the top image. It was tested in a bear enclosure in the Abruzzo Lazio Molise National Park. It passed this test, and we are distributing tens and tens of these bear-proof waste bins, mainly in public areas, in order to avoid the towns would be attractive for bears. So this is a very hard action, let's say, to be addressed, because the management of the waste, it's not a matter of NGOs or a responsibility of NGOs or, of course, national parks, but we are collaborating with the management companies and with municipalities in order to cover this important issue. At this point, I would pass the floor to Antonio to speak about why bear smart communities are important for the Abruzzo Lazio Molise National Park. Thank you for now.
Thank you, Andrea. So can you stop your...
Yes, sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So good morning, everyone. Thank you for letting us be here. I will go back to the... So as Angela was saying, this project is a really big change for us in the approach for the bear conservation and for the coexistence boosting in the Central Apennines. So the main question that we can address today is why bear smart community can be important for our national park, and why is collaborating with an NGO is important for our national park. Because as you can imagine, this national park has been founded 102 years ago. Yesterday was the birthday of the park, when in the 1922, on the 9th September of the 1922, this national park was founded on a private initiative by the founder and the first president of the national park, who was Erminia Sieben. In a certain way, we can consider the Abruzzo Lazio Molise National Park like a one single and big bear smart community, because since the beginning of this protected area was founded, the parks authorities have been working on boosting coexistence between local communities and the presence of wildlife in a large sense. But a national park, we can consider a national park as a place where parks authorities plan and manage the landscape in order to ensure conservation for wildlife, and in our case, conservation, the coexistence between human presence and bear presence for more than 100 years. And since the very beginning of the national park, we can say that some of the concepts that are in this LIFE project was well defined in the vision of the founders of the national park. I don't know if you ever had the opportunity to read the Relazioni Sipari, which is the first publication of the Abruzzo National Park. It was written by Erminia Sipari, and there was well written, and it was very well identified how ecotourism could be the engine for local development and the engine also for the conservation of the biodiversity. And I choose to highlight those two old documents from the very beginning of the national park, when on the left side you can see, like also in the early of in 1927, 1928, there were a lot of damage from bear presence. And on the right side, you can see how in the very first minutes of from the board of the national park, there were people who were yet discussing about wildlife compensation. This minute it came from July of 1925, and in that board meeting, people were discussing about the eventuality to give compensation to shepherds after depredation from brown bear, the Martigan brown bear. So in 100 years, this park made a lot of steps. It changed a lot the way in which we work to brown bear conservation and brown bear population monitoring. It changed a lot also the focus that also the importance for the national park of the bear, because we can imagine that at the very beginning, maybe not a lot of people know that the real symbol of this national park was not the bear as today, but the chamois. This national park was born precisely for the conservation of the Apennine chamois, which is another endemic species that we have here in the Central Apennines. But even if for the local communities the hunting for the brown bear was forbidden starting from 1923. Some hunting games for the royal family were still carried out till the first years of the 13th. I think that the last hunting game for the royal family was carried out in 1933 or 1932. So there was you can imagine that in 100 years of history there were a lot of changing, not only in the way the national park worked on the brown bear conservation, but also in how local communities and also how the public look at the wildlife and look at the ecotourism. And all this changing by the time face just put the national park authorities to put all the protected areas to in front of a lot of challenges. For example, challenge about tourism. So we are experiencing a lot of changing in the way people face the look at the wildlife presence inside the national park. And this is, of course, as you all perfectly know, gave us a lot of issues to address and to put in our agenda. So as you know, coexistence is something that you have is like a dynamic balance. You can work for 100 years in a landscape to ensure coexistence, but you still can wake up a morning and discover that you just to start all everything from the bottom. And so I'm coming to the point of this presentation, because I think that this life project is very important for the bear conservation, because we as a national park we are working inside our boundaries, but we are also working outside our boundaries, because the future of the brown bear conservation is in its expansion, of course. And as we focus our forces on and our attention to all the challenges that we have in order to ensure conservation, we have to face a lot of stakeholders. We have to face the fact that parks administrative competence outside the park boundaries are limited. And I think that stewardship programs like the Bear Smart Community approach can help us to face complexity. As a national park, we have to work on 3 different regions, 3 different provinces, and 24 municipalities, 7 of that inside the national park boundaries. And so you can imagine that we do not only have a lot of stakeholders on a social level, but we have a lot of stakeholders on a institutional level. And the Bear Smart community just help us in adopting a micro-scale approach where we can work on a micro scale, of course, and we can interact in a more effective way with all the local stakeholders, community by community. We choose to work on 8 communities for the national park that are on the park boundaries, as Angela was highlighting before. And this is very important for us because just to boost and to help and to ensure that along the corridors of expansion of the brown bear, we can work not only by an ecological point of view, but also by a social point of view. So the main challenge for us as a national park is to, of course, develop synergies with NGOs, and this is very important because sometimes where a national park or where a public authority just cannot arrive with competence or with agility. There can be the NGOs can arrive in a more effective way, and sometimes where an NGO cannot arrive, it can have the help by the local authorities, by the national park authorities. So the real challenge is to develop, to codify, and to just make replicable, potentially game-changing model, which is the very smart community approach, and just help and make more effective the brown bear conservation. There is a point that I like always to stress out is that for us, for a national park, this is a big change in perspective. And as you all perfectly know, social acceptance is crucial to large carnivore conservation effectiveness, but it's also crucial to conservation in general, and it's crucial to park management in park management effectiveness. So the participatory and democratic aspect can help in filling out the gap between the public institution and local communities. And events like the one that Angela was talking before, like the C6 events or the enterprise program that Rewilding Happiness is carrying out, engaging local entrepreneurs that want to commit to brown bear conservation, just helping us connect with people, connect with local community. Sometimes, often, when we talk about projects, we focus on the implementation of the project, and we focus on the objective, of course, and that's absolutely reasonable. Not very often we focus ourselves on what the project has as an effect on the implementer. And I think that this project is having a very good spillover effect on the implementer, because it's not so, it's very important to a national park to a public body to change the perspective, to get out of the comfort zone. And the way this project is designed is just helping us doing this. As you know, our national park is not designed to carry out a stewardship program. I mean, the law and the way in which a public body works, it is just not designed to fit in a stewardship program. So sometimes it can be hard. It can be hard also to let the employers of the national park to get in the mind to this approach. But by doing this, and by doing this with the cooperation with and the collaboration with an NGO, it's something that is helping also in the developing of soft skills for the employees, soft skills for the park rangers as well, and again, I like the boosting and the building of social trust, because it is something that for a national park it's very hard to build. You can work for 100 years, as in our case, and still have problems that you think once you solved like 2 years ago, and approaches like this can just help us also to get in the right mindset to face this problem, not only to solve this problem. So I would ask Angela if she wants to add something. This is our last slide. I also wanted to highlight how this project is helping us to develop a landscape and a network of institutions and NGOs that can talk in a very easy way and just act in a very easy and more effective way in a very complex context like the Apennine, where there are a lot of stakeholders. There are a lot of difference between also the area in which we are working on. Angela, I don't know if you want to add something about this. I think she's muted.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So thanks. Thank you, Antonio. Yeah, the only thing that I would like to add is that in front of this last picture and speaking about complexity, we really are facing a challenge to trying to let's say, apply the same approach of a bottom-up PESMA community in places which are very different in terms of culture and economies, and mostly the perspective of local people for the bears. There are, of course, communities like the ones within the Abruzzo Lazio Molise National Park that are very keen and let's say used to deal with bears, but there are others outside this protected area that have a different perspective, a different approach towards the presence of the bear. So the way we are working is always one-to-one with all the single communities. And also the preparation activities, actions that we carried out the first year of the initiative with the questionnaires in order to understand the perception of people about the bears, got us to understand that the bear sometimes is a catalysm of other issues related to the landscape and to the territory management. So we're trying to move these issues and to address the specific, let's say, way to solve the problems, trying to separate the bears from other issues. And the Bear Smart Community Committee are the places where to speak more in depth about this issue related to the territory. So we're trying also to experiment these kind of tools that we are implementing through this initiative. And as other speakers already said in the previous presentations, also for us, it's a long-term mission. So after these live Bear Smart corridors, we will continue, of course, on this along this way, because we really believe that just by involving locals, we can bring the Marsican bear outside from the extinction risk.
Yeah, thank you, Angela. Yes, I can only add that, of course, we are working on the afterlife, because we are designing all the model of the Bear Smart Community program in order to be sustainable in a long term, also by an economical and financial point of view. We just see, of course, the focus and central point of the Bear Smart Community model is the Bear Smart Community Committee, which is a democratic platform where maybe for the first time in this context, in the Apennine context, local communities have the opportunity to have a periodic meeting with a national park authority, with an environmental NGOs, and with all the other stakeholders of every single each community. And this is very valuable for us because it is something that we for everyone who has ever worked for a national park know perfectly how local communities sometimes can feel the national park authorities far from them, from their needs. So this is the central point of this project, and this is the central point of what this project is giving also to us. Yes, that's it. I would like to thank you for the attention.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Antonio and Angela. It was a real example of a synergy between different kind of institutions. So I ask all if maybe you can yes, thank you very much. So that
Patrizia, solo Patrizia, puoi staccare anche la tua condivisione? Io non riesco a farlo da qua. Grazie.
So thank you very much. I think we have time, plenty of time for a question to our speaker of this second session. Don't be shy. If there are no questions, of course I have questions.
I have a question, Laura. Sorry.
Who has a question?
Angela.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Please.
Sorry. Thank you, Laura. I was very interested in Life Links initiative, and I would like to ask to Tilen about the involvement of hunters. I was really impressed about their, let's say, engagement and in let's say future perspective, and according to your experience. Would you say that these hunters are really motivated to preserve links, or are they willing to reach a certain level, a certain amount of individuals in order to, I don't know, in the future, start hunting again on links?
Yeah, good question. So for speaking about Slovenia, I think hunters are aware that for Slovenia, in short term or mid-term, there is no question about hunting links, yes or no. It's absolutely no, because we have sufficient optimal habitat or suitable habitat for about 100 animals, and this is not big enough to have a viable population. Also, even though we share the population with the dynamic ones, so in Croatia and Bosnia and Herzegovina, I think the biggest thing is that hunters in Slovenia have tradition of nature conservation quite strongly embedded in them, and they want to conserve the links. Also, we had public opinion surveys before the project and almost at the end of the project, and almost 85% of hunters said, yes, we want to conserve the links for next generations. So this is very important. But like I said, I think the starting point is maybe a little bit different to some other countries, because hunters were the ones who protected the links in the first place and brought it back. So yes, maybe some have also the motivation to hunt them. Of course, we all know that they are, let's say, hunted in Sweden and so on, because the populations are viable. But I think most of them realize that this is not an option. So it's just only the wish to keep it in Slovenia, to preserve it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I do have one for each of you. So I start with Simona. Because you showed at the end of your presentation a network, and European network of stewardship, was it right? And I was wondering how, if this network work, how it work, and if so, or otherwise, if it's not, if I misunderstood that there is not a network, do you think it would be a good idea to have an Italian network at least, or a European network of including all these experience? And so not only land stewardship, but also example as this that we have listened to today in involvement in conservation of wild animals.
Yes, so there is an international network that we call Land Care Europe. As Legambiente Lombardia, we were one of the founders of this network. It's a real association, international association, based for the moment in Germany with the DVL. It's an association, but Land Care is focused on farmers' involvement. So it's specific on farming and sustainable farming. And of course, it's like land stewardship, of course, but focus on farmers. So the idea is to involve farmers in landscape, sustainable farming management, or landscape protection involved farmers. Of course, the mission, the aims are the same. I was born with some relationship with this international association like DVL in Germany and other in Spain and in other parts of Europe. And so we decided to try to create this network, to be able to share experiences. And for instance, one of the aims of the network is to organize meetings, events, online workshop. First of all, to share competencies and also to prepare. Also, we are preparing some papers not to send to European Union on different subjects, always linked with farming. So this is, but we also we are always keeping in touch with other experience, association of land stewardship. Especially Sciascia dei Territori in Spain, in Czech Republic with the CESOP and other association in Europe. There's no a real international network formalized like Land Care Europe, but we are always in touch together. And we realized, staying in touch with other experiences abroad, we realized that in Italy, well, it's our feeling, that in many occasions we talk about land stewardship approach. There are some spots around it, managed by different associations, different entities, maybe from I don't know, there is a project, a large project called Green Change, closed. The coordinator of the action was a province, so a public entity. In your case, another experience with park. In other case, Legambiente. So different situations, different implementations of land stewardship. But the aim, the mission, the strategy is the same, almost the same, even if it's important to implement in each territory, because it's completely different situation. In our case, it's also different species, but the approach is the same, to involve stakeholders to participate in biodiversity conservation. So we are talking about also in Legambiente how to go on and to try to understand if it is necessary or not a network, a formal network. Of course, we can also have an informal network like we are doing now in this moment with this workshop, just to share information, experience, and maybe could be projects together and new ideas for new projects together. And so it's important to keep this relationship. It's different to have a formal institution, formal organization.
Yeah, no, but I mean, work with that sharing experience is difficult. Is really crucial, and also what was very nice in your example as the one of pastors was this increase in the number of people that felt that this partnership belonged to them. At least this was the feeling I had during your presentation of these people that really wanted to be steward. They want to preserve orchids, and they are going on to do so even if the project is ended. And this means, I think this is the very most profound effect of participation, when people feel is their duty to do something for the environment. So it is really, really good. And in fact, coming to the involvement, as Antonio stated before, in protected area as a role that has been crucial with volunteer program and people that, and we know that in the park you have people that come back and back and back to do volunteer year after year because they really care to do something. And what is your feeling now that you're working also outside? Do you think, what is the contribution that a protected area can do outside to make people feel that they can be part of nature as they are they can be inside the park? Marta, forse devi mutare.
Thank you.
Yes.
You touched on a really interesting point because, first of all, about the volunteering program, you perfectly know how much was important for this public institution, that program. And maybe the fact was that it was great in engaging people from very far outside the national park, from big cities, but not so good enough to engage people from the local communities. And again, that's the point about CRC program, how much they can be valuable for national park authorities, as well for NGOs. And at the same time, our feeling about this changing in perspective, in the approaches, is that people are starting to be very surprised about this, because in the last years and in the business as usual, let me say, people used to meet around the table discussing about bears only where there were emergencies about bears. So when people were just angry about the fact that bears was visiting the villages, and this just put you in a bad position, and just don't help the discussion about coexistence. Because every time that you get in touch with local people, you are afraid about what you are going to say, because you know that you have to manage fear, you have to manage anxiety about wildlife, you have to manage a lot interest, legitimate interest about economical activities, about interest of shepherds, interest from all over the stakeholders involved. Now, engaging people when the situation is perfectly calm, just talking about the awareness about bear, just talking about what every single actor, from the citizen to the director of the park, can do for the bear conservation. I think that Angela agree with me that in the first meeting where there were few people because there was not emergency about the bear, but developing also the way we are designing these events is creating a lot of curiosity and a lot of we are experiencing that people are just happy to participate in this meeting, happy to have the opportunity to talk with local authorities, to talk to biologists, to talk to NGOs about those things that, except from fear, except from emergency, are things that just people about are really care about. There are things that involve people since the bear is an iconic species that always awoke a lot of feelings in our souls and our hearts.
Okay, thank you. So this is a question to almost all the speakers because I think it's a point in participation. And yeah, we are actually, most of us, except, well, no, actually we are well balanced because we are half institution and half NGO in this table, and also as speakers. And one of the trouble when you are in institution is that sometimes people, and it's right that they do that because it is our role, people expect institution to provide service, to solve the situation, to be there. And of course, public institutions are there for this reason and should do this because this is their role. But the next step in this participatory job is works like the stewardship and BearSmart and the involvement in captures and monitoring and whatever, is that put the public in the way that they are not only expecting something, but they are helping to do something. So I think what in your experience has been the step forward when you have seen that people really understood that, okay, I got the guidance from somebody that was entitled to do that, but now I want to do my part. So I will start with Angela and also with the oldest BearSmart community that was Genzana community. So how this switch was made, and then
Laura, aspetta, ho fatto pasticcio. Laura, l'ultimo pezzo quando hai detto di... Ok. No. Rifai.
this was censoring. I was censored. So,
okay, thank
no,
you.
this was
Esatto.
just yeah, I don't know where I became mute. So
no, I heard
final
your
part.
question.
So just a final round to have your opinion on that and your feeling on the strength and what should we do next to improve this part.
Thanks. I think this cooperation should never be, let's say, left apart. So once we gather together, NGOs and public institutions, the collaboration should work in long term. Otherwise, there might be a perception from people that something broken has been broken. So we understood that it works because people can see the separate role in terms of being present in the landscape from a different perspective from institutions and NGOs, but also watching a poster with all the logos together is always a way to understand that both the typologies of organization are always there. I think that let's say the strongest thing is that we try to keep all together since the beginning of this pilot initiative 10 years ago. And we are still there working together with the local institutions, municipalities, reserve. I'm speaking about the Genzana Bersma community. And now with this new experiment and challenge to spread the Bersma community in 16 communities, it's still in the same way. So we are showing up together, institutions and the NGOs, and we are explaining people who's to call and who's to ask for different needs and to be there. So I think also another powerful tool, as you already told about the volunteers, also from our point of view, we as Rewilding Apennines and Salvia Molorso are carrying out a shared volunteer program. And in this sense, foreign volunteers are very well seen from the locals because they come across Europe and the world also. So people understand that these young guys are here for a good reason and for long period. So it is also enough to make people understand that the cause, we are very important also to attract people from all over the world.
Thank you, Anna. Tilen, what about your feeling in this? If you feel that you activated this personal interest, this feeling that you can, each one of us can do this part, and yeah, what is your feeling, and do you think this can go on? And what was the most the part that you think was more effective in all you've done in producing this effect?
Yeah, I actually agree with Angela. I think this collaboration needs to be in the long term. It's not only for the duration of the project, because then the NGOs or hunters or whoever has the feeling that, okay, now that you need us, now we are good, but then after the project, you don't care about us anymore. So this is at least for Slovenia, this is important, that to continue this collaboration, to have personal contact and to make them feel engaged, give them feedback on let's say for our case, the monitoring of lynxes. It was important to give them feedback. Yes, this lynx is the one you have photographed. This lynx coming from here, and keep them engaged and also give them information. A good example also from Slovenia is we had bear monitoring, genetic non-invasive monitoring last year, and we engaged with a lot of hunters. We got samples from almost 800 hunters in Slovenia, and we constantly gave them feedback through email and with the results, preliminary results, and so on. So they feel involved, and not only that we need them when we need something, but that we kind of appreciate their effort. I think this is the most important thing, and just to keep this contact on a personal level, this is very important, I think.
Anything from the Abruzzo National Park about that?
Yes, Laura?
Yeah, what about your experience?
Yeah. I think that it is crucial. I absolutely agree with Dylan. I was saying that also during my presentation. We are also, even if it's too early for the afterlife, but we yet working on this because it's crucial and it's about social responsibility of a national park to continue what you are starting, not only for the project effectiveness, but for the goal that you have, and for the social accountability, and for the social for the image of the national park, and for what are the needs of the local community, or what are the needs for the brown bear conservation in our case. And we are acting, and we are trying to act as we are moving in a landscape of institution and the NGOs. Everyone has their role, everyone has their importance, and we have to make our best in order to better collaborate and cooperate. Even moving over some prejudice that can be, because and not every time national park and NGOs can be, let's say, on the same side. I mean, of course, an NGO have to criticize, have to manifest, have to do what every association is supposed to do, and at the same time, the national parks cannot act like an NGOs, cannot just write a press release as an NGOs can do. And we can melt our duty, we can melt our competence, skills, and administrative competence in order to just boost our efforts in conservation and coexistence.
Thank you. And then I move to Anna and Simona, and yeah, the question is always the same. So what do you think work best, like, to sum up, and this role of how do you feel that people has felt I would say to be invested with the responsibility to play their role in conservation?
Is it me? Okay.
You can go.
Well, I think that I agree on what Angela told before. So institution and NGO have different skills and different way of operating, and I think this is a good thing, especially when you work with critical categories of people. Well, I mean, I work with wolf and bears, so this is my field of action. I don't know about orchids, but anyway, once you...
Thank you, Tilan. Sorry. Thank you, Tilan, for being with us.
Okay. And
Bye.
well, I think that once the trust is built, I think that people we work with can appreciate the differences. Okay, so they continue probably, well, I'm speaking about Shepherd, for example, they will continue to expect things from the institution because it's their role, as you told before, but they can feel us like a partner in their road to reach the coexistence. So we are going to work again with them, and we are not, our intention is not to stop working with pastors and so on. And Also, I could appreciate the network that we built, not only with the beneficiaries of our action, so not only with volunteers, and not only with Shepherd, but also with other organizations. This is typical from NGO, I think, that can speak to each other in a simple way, and I think that we will keep in the future our cooperation with all the other stewards we met in these years, because it's part of our job. And I guess I have to underline the powerful of the involvement of volunteers, because of the message that Angela told before. When Shepherd, for example, breeders on agricultural professionals, so on, when they see that there is so a big interest from all over the world and from people arriving from every part of the world just for working on these topics without payment or and so on, this is a very, very strong message, and maybe more than the help itself. That's it. I hope to answer in some way.
Okay, yes, no, I'm completely agree about the involvement of the stewards. And as you can see in the picture, they put their face because they are on a website, a public website. They are on a social network. So it's not so common, no, to I don't know, a farmer that decided to do a selfie.
Yes.
To have the skate, to have the name on a website, a public website, and so it's nice because our feelings like that they were just waiting to be realized. Well, I'm talking about orchids stewards because it's completely different from other involvement, no? In the case of large carnivores. In our case, they were doing conservation action. Of course, some of them, because they are already sensitive on this subject. And so, but nobody recognize this effort they were doing. So with the project, to create this network, they realized they were doing something for environment, for common goods like landscape, and they understand that they are valorized because they are on the website. There are interviews from newspapers. Some of them are in a book because a journalist realized a book on stewards. There is a chapter dedicated to stewards, orchid stewards.
What's in Lisa?
So it's like to give value of what the effort they are doing, because it's not usual, no, that there is this kind of attention for biodiversity, for instance, in farming, no? And so to see that the efforts is recognized by institutions, by the public, I think it's the added value. And so it's the way also to keep no, the network and to do the no, farmer to farmer, no? They say, okay, I'm doing it's like an example. And also for the relationship, of course, I can say that there is a personal relationship. So anyone they have my phone number, so I can stop the project because they have my phone number. And so there is also a social life, no, because there's also a contact with, like, not a friend, of course, but it's something that go overcome the project implementation. And I think that it's an added value also for us, now for the consortium, because it was an unexpected result, no, to create all this relationship, because people invite us for dinner, for lunch, for some social, this is social life, no, also after the project. I think it's really, it's interesting because it's the perfect way, you know, to keep the cooperation.
Thank you very much. So just because to summarize very briefly what happened also with the ending of this Life WolfAlps EU with the stewardship program, we also had this most of the things that have been described by you are the same we experienced it. So the fact that it's really crucial to have a personal relationship and also that you constantly recognize the efforts made by the steward because otherwise, as Tilen was saying before, you have the risk that there is sometimes in volunteers program and in citizen science program also that you are using people to have some benefit. This is not the point. The point is making people feel that, of course, institution has the duty, institution has also the expert in doing this, but nature belongs to all of us and we all can do our part to what is a common good or evil if somebody doesn't like certain part of nature. In fact, for the stewardship program of Life WolfAlps EU, we worked a lot about also that because of the wolf is not to anyone a benefit, so it's not forcibly a common good, but it's a common resource, a common component of the environment, and the environment belongs to all of us. So I think this is the switch, and I think it's really, I thank you all for being here because we really think that exchanging experience is very good also to improve in the future, and the expert experience maybe also enlarge the action. I mean, maybe not only on orchids, not only on wolf, not only on bears, but work on the stewardship on whatever subject to protect and enhance our biodiversity. So thank you so much all to be here today.
Thank you all. Thank you all very much. And let's keep in touch, and good luck for all your projects to you all. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
If someone of you, as we were asked before, wants to receive a certificate of participants, just let us know. Ok, bye bye. Thank you. Grazie ancora.